Hello, it's Paulicia Aguilar. I am your relationship coach, and my passion is helping others reach their God-given potential. Well, today I have the pleasure of interviewing a wonderful and amazing woman. Her name is Sherlonda Thrower, and I just want to tell you a little bit about her. Sherlonda Thrower is a professionally trained social worker and has 25 years as a licensed master social worker. A significant number of those years have been focused on healthcare for vulnerable populations, mitigating access to care challenges, and chronic disease management. She has managed the implementation, expansion, and maintenance of value-based care programs across the state of Texas, Oklahoma, and Alabama. Recognizing that her acumen no longer included only social work services, Sherlonda obtained an MBA with a specialization in healthcare management. Her oversight includes value-based care and population health strategies focused on addressing social determinants of health and its traditional threats to overall patient care and medical objectives. This approach provides a unique practice of utilizing a team of community health workers through a range of activities that will assist patients with gaining access to needed community services while building increased knowledge and self-sufficiency. In her spare time, Sherlonda enjoys spending time with her family and friends, traveling, speaking at conferences, and singing with her husband, Frederick. I've already given you some background information, but she can do a much better job in telling you some of the wonderful things that she's doing in her community to affect change. And so I've been talking about this breakthrough campaign, and I'm collaborating with some amazing women that are on a path to empower and inspire other people to make change. So without further ado, Sherlonda, tell us about what you do and how you are affecting change.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to be here, Paulicia, first of all, because not only do I just love your energy, but this is a topic that I'm so passionate about, right?
Yes.
And like you said, you provided my bio, and so I don't want to have to rehash some things, but generally speaking, I've been a social worker, a licensed master social worker for several years.
Yes.
And a lot of times people are like, that can mean so much. That can mean so much, right? But in a nutshell, most of my career has been in healthcare, right?
Okay.
But also primarily with vulnerable populations, right?
Okay.
In communities, how do we bring a bridge between the healthcare system and then our access to healthcare, I should say,
Yes.
access to healthcare to the community, and then and even vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I've seen, of course, as we think about change and things like that, is that healthcare, even in itself, are trying, there's no, at this point, it's not just enough to expect people to come to you. It's just not enough, right?
Yeah.
Because if I did finally go to the doctor and I've got like all these conditions because I was afraid to come to the doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't benefit the healthcare system to wait on people just to come to them. So sometimes we got to go to them.
Yeah.
So as a social worker, just in that same vein of helping people, helping to provide a voice for those that feel like they do not have a voice, trying to provide hope for those that feel hopeless, just trying to provide a way of linking that up, right?
Yeah.
Being in a system, and when you say you work in healthcare, that can mean many different things. It doesn't mean that I work for a hospital, right? Because I have worked for a hospital.
Yeah.
But there are many healthcare organizations. There is, chronic disease management, just a whole plethora of that. So I'm using it very generally.
Yeah.
But the main focus I feel like has been the same: to help people to help themselves, to be the healthiest that they can be.
Yeah.
However, in the healthcare spectrum, we cannot pretend that people are just going to come to us just to come to us. There's other underlying issues or underlying things and perceptions of why maybe, the community and the healthcare system has not quite formalized an entire partnership. And so that is a passion of mine. I've been doing that for several years in that space, and just truthfully trying to be a voice, but not the only voice, right? Because people need to tell their own story. And on both sides of the fence, in the sense that healthcare has their own impression of what they feel like the patient, may be experiencing explain, and then the patient has of course their own story that plays into the narrative of, you know, of access to care and, you know, and getting health care and all that. Yeah.
So you bring up a great topic and segue when you talk about access to care. So you also mentioned perception. So perceptions from patients to doctors and vice versa. So do you see within your field how that contributes to the stress of patients in being like a breakdown or a barrier to being able to get that access?
Oh, definitely. So as a social worker, you know, there's a wonderful theory that I love, and it's called systems theory. I love that theory because basically what it says is that, okay, so if I'm the patient, my name is Charlonda, right?
Yeah.
What comes with Charlonda are many, many aspects of the system that I live in. So it's my family dynamic system. It's you know, where I work, right? So that's a new system too. It's maybe where I seek health care. It's, you know, and it's maybe also my community. So all of those systems, a community system, a healthcare system, you know, my family system, actually all affects Charlonda.
Yeah.
It all affects Charlonda, whether directly, indirectly, positively, or negatively. It all affects me. And because of that, and it's not like, for example, you know, if I'm in the, you know, here's Charlonda, I'm in the healthcare system, and, you know, and the system is responding to me. It's not like it taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, by the way, positive or negative experience. No.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that, right? It doesn't do that. I feel it, right? I feel maybe how I'm being perceived, or maybe even in your own family, right? It's not like with family dynamics, right? It's not like it taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, okay, you're gonna either love this family or you're not, right?
Yeah.
Just absorb it, right? And it shapes your perceptions, it shapes your personality, it shapes on, you know, how you also interact with others, how you react to others. And it's the same in other systems. So if I go to another system and it's a healthcare system, again, based on what I bring and also how that system I perceive as they react to me, all that again begins to form Charlonda's psyche. It begins to form the relationship of how do I see these people?
Yeah.
How do I perceive that they see me?
That's right.
And so in all of that, with those systems working, and it's really a beautiful thing when it's noticed, when you know, so not just the patient themselves, but as a healthcare professional, or as a community health worker, understand that because all of us are subjected to the interaction, whether asked for or not, in a system and how it can affect us, when we have that awareness, we can use it as a powerful thing to really, really work together and get into solving those issues that we keep saying we can't solve. That's a lot. No, because we're not facing it. We're not recognizing that it's just not, I didn't just want to come to treat. What's a social determinant, right? A social determinant of health means what is that barrier that maybe got in the way of me seeking that, right? For example. And so with that being said, that becomes a part of a person. So it creates stress, or it alleviates stress based on also how the system will interact with, you know, the patient or the member.
So do you feel like there are specific roadblocks that prohibit or hinder people from seeking out the care that they need? Because, you know, I've talked to many clients that they don't even realize that they're affected. They don't even realize that they're stressed out. It's almost like you talk about those perceptions. If you get a bad vibe from, you know, a doctor or whatever, 9 times out of 10, you might not go back, but you're still hurting on the inside. Your back's still hurting, you know, then that leads to you being irritable because you don't feel good. So what are some roadblocks that you have seen?
Oh, that's great. That's great. You know, I remember when I first actually started in graduate school, prior to that, I mean, my own perception of even just healthcare, I always liked it. I always thought it was like interesting, like, oh my goodness, somebody's in the hospital. Let's go see if they're okay, you know, as a kid or whatever. But it was interesting because even as I think of therapy, right? So going to therapist, or my mental construct of that was, that's what people do that a week, or that's what, even going into the healthcare, okay, I might come once a year, but I'm not going to really try to come see you if I don't have to, right?
That's right.
Because I did not feel a connectiveness, right? right? And I'm not saying that is because of system. And here's why. I had not met any true maybe doctors, practitioners, therapists that just had a heart to serve. Let's say, for example, maybe I was taught this along the way, and I can't pinpoint it, right? It's just, again, it's just a kind of conglomeration of just my perception of maybe, like in this case, healthcare, right?
Yeah.
And so, but as I became more educated, so I began working actually in that field, I would see doctors and nurses that would break their backs helping people. I mean, to the core of, and it taught me so much. It made me be better. I would see that people, they didn't care about the color of someone's skin. They didn't care about their situation. They didn't care male, female, whatever. They wanted to help. And let me tell you, so for those members, for those patients that came, they knew that we want you here.
Yeah.
They call it bedside manners.
Yes.
Right? Bedside manners can never be watered down. Everyone knows, unfortunately, that there's that nurse, that is always short with people, or maybe that front desk, person, or even that patient that you see as, they're just so hard to deal with, because you're not looking at each other's situation. You're not thinking, how would I want them to treat me? Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think that that's been the biggest barrier. And you're right. People they are stressed behind that, because it does hurt, especially if it's gone on and on. Because think about it. Let's say if my mama or big mama or my grandpa has diabetes or heart disease, and I'm close to him, I'm hearing what he's saying when he comes back from the doctor, and like that experience. And so I'm like, well, I'm never going to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to drag me.
Yeah.
All of those things. And I think what it definitely speaks to is volumes of, as a healthcare professional, for example, but also a part of that community, we got to bring that together. We can no longer just shake it off as, well, we're here, the community can come, right? Because the community, our members, our individuals will never know your intention, your true intention.
Yeah.
Unless there's a conversation of, we want to help you, and that you show it. It's not just lip service, but it's also with how they perceive you, how you greet them, how you work with them, how you don't work with them, and it varies with that. So I don't want to make it simplistic, because it's human dynamics, right?
Yeah.
It looks different ways. It feels different ways. But bottom line is this: we all know when we feel wanted. So why does it have to be a mystery?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody knows that Nurse D, and I don't know a Nurse D. I'm just throwing out a name. Nurse D is rude to everybody, including her coworkers. So why y'all shocked that the patients don't like her?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or that they won't come back for their appointment. Why is everybody shocked?
Right. Yeah.
And so I think it's that focus on that. And again, and I'm not trying to, make healthcare seem bad, or people that, people that go see them, but that is just like what you said, Paulisha, so true. That stress behind that. Because think about it. If I'm stressed in my daily life, I don't have to be a vulnerable population to be stressed. But if I'm stressed, I'm going to try to eliminate anything that brings me pain, especially unnecessary pain. Yeah, I'm sick. I don't feel good. I don't quite know what it is, but I ain't going to the doctor because I didn't like last time I went over there. I waited for hours and those people were rude. I'm gonna eliminate the pain.
And you bring up a good point, because eliminating the pain for some people might be to suffer in silence.
That's right.
And so one of the big things that we talk about in the Breakthrough, campaign is that you don't have to suffer in silence. There are doctors and nurses that are available, that care about you, and that want to see you do better, that want you to have a greater quality of life. Because if you're in this field, healthcare, being a therapist, social work, as we all help people and we are public servants, then it's available. But then there, like we've talked about, that breakdown in communication, that barrier to maybe perceptions of understanding. So as we talk about the Breakthrough program, and we could talk all day long. The Breakthrough 2.0 program is something that I have created with patients in mind. I am on a campaign to be able to help people deal with unresolved issues that contributes to some of those stressors, whether it be the chronic pain that you're talking about. Sometimes chronic pain starts because you're not dealing with what's going on the inside, whether that be childhood trauma, whether that be people's perception, you feeling misunderstood, whatever those issues are. That is what I am here to help you do, is to break through to a different way of being and different way of understanding. And I think that such as a time as this, we need to be breaking through, because we don't need need to be, stressed out, hanging on the bed. We have work to do. And as a leader,
yeah. No, I was just
going to say,
I'm like, oh my gosh, I got goosebumps, right? No,
yeah.
This is the thing. And you say, that breakthrough for so long, what we have to realize, and we quote this all the time, but we're not really good at it. We're like, because insanity is what? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, right?
Yes.
And it's the same with not acknowledging that there is trauma there. It's the same with not acknowledging that, this initiates stress for me and why, and trauma and everything that comes with it. It's just like, for example, because I see social work as an extension of my personality. I'm like, people pay me to be me, and then just, then you add like a degree to it.
Yes.
But but also it encompasses, that's not all I am. So it also encompasses a business side of it, and a business side meaning that, and that's why I went back and got my MBA too, a business side meaning that as I've been out in the field, just like what you have, working with clients, working with members, I can see how there are still some areas and some gaps that we have to continue to be aware of. So for example, as an organization, there's the black and white is that there's financial goals, right?
Yeah.
There's mission goals, there's, this is our vision goals. Wonderful, wonderful. It's all black and white and on paper.
Yeah.
But the dynamic of the reality is that the dollars and cents, if you're trying to have a positive financial outcome, it is all about the dynamics of relationships. It's what we can't see, but we can feel.
Yeah.
That in the end will dictate the dollars and cents.
Yes.
It's all connected. And so sometimes I think what happens is, maybe businesses are in the situation of not looking at the trauma, in other words, right? So it's like, it's especially in the times is we this is a foundation and it's cracking, but instead of just fixing the foundation, instead of going to the root of the trauma and fixing that, right? And actually mitigating that at some level where you don't have to be traumatized, right? Instead of fixing that, we just put more and more on it, and more, concrete, more concrete, and it's already cracked.
Yes.
And so I feel like that's what we've done in all industries, really. And so it's been insanity because it doesn't fully work. It was a Band-Aid at one point. It was just plastering it for a little bit. And now the foundation says, oh no, now you're going to have to pay attention.
I can't withhold it. Yes.
I can't withhold it because I want to literally tear, a house is built on a good foundation, a building. Now the entire building is about to fall because we have not looked at how to fix that crack.
But you bring up a great point, because just because we have been conditioned to do that and to keep building it up, you talk about vicarious trauma of just things just continue to keep happening that you don't address. You choose to be in denial about it. You use your defense mechanisms to try to plow through, and it only gets you so far. Well, I am really a firm believer that today is the day to learn something new, because what do you want your life to look like 5 years from now? You still want to be cursing out your kids when they just because they irritating you, or do you still want to have that distance from the doctor-patient relationship? Do you still want to be flip-flopping to different jobs because you can't relate to people because you feel misunderstood or stressed out? It has to be, and you have to decide what that's going to be for you.
Yes.
Breakthrough 2.0 is helping to achieve that. And it takes, like you said, it takes us, public servants, therapists, doctors, coming together to say, how can we be inclusive in this? Just like what you talk about, the access to care, not just at the therapist level, but plugging in these models, because we got different models that we follow. We know that can continue to be tweaked. So I'm asking you this last question.
Yes.
And it is, would you recommend knowing about the 2.0 program? Would you recommend enrolling in it? And how do you see that it would be a benefit or a start to some of the stressors that people are dealing with?
Oh, that's good. Because literally I was like, oh my gosh, I know what I'm going to say. Even before you asked that question, because just in our conversation. So this is my philosophy. And, or my perspective on things. Unaddressed pain or trauma will always get worse. And what I mean by worse is this. And it's not just, and that sounds very cliche. It sounds like, well, that makes sense. But let me give you a very acute example. Okay. Hypersensitivity to a situation. So for example, if the trauma is someone was sexually abused, right?
Yeah.
And because the unaddressed pain, right, is still there, right? So let's say you have a male coworker and he just stands over you, maybe just, because y'all are talking about something with the computer, and you just tighten up and you go there in your mind, wherever that go-to is, right? It's like that's a reality. It's a hypersensitivity, right?
Yeah.
Because the pain hasn't been addressed.
That's right.
Because all it does is it just intensifies. And it will seep out into other parts of your life that were unintended. Because for some person that does that, if that was me, it's like, I'm trying not to feel like this, but I can't help it. Like I literally, and so what I hope that people will do is, you don't need to be at that point to get a breakthrough. But if you are at that point, you definitely need a breakthrough. We all need through.
Yes.
Because the reality is, if you hear nothing else I say today, family, pain, right, will just get worse. It will get worse, because the thing is that I believe as human beings, we are not made to be in a silo of not working towards change and progress. Change always creates an uncomfortableness.
Yes.
Through change has to be a sacrifice. And what I mean by that is the sacrifice of being comfortable. I don't like the pain, but it's what I know.
Yeah.
I don't want to change because I don't want to think about the memories. They hurt too much. But you know what? It's a process, because once you get past that hardness of that process, you will look back and be so glad that you did it. And you'll turn around and be like, oh my goodness, I really, truly, this has helped me.
Yes.
And so, no, I'm a firm believer. I mean, because from death in my own family, my parents before the age of 40, and them dying, and trauma, and, from other things, I'm a firm believer that you have to work on it, because I have a choice. I can become bitter, or I can become better. That choice is mine. Nobody else, no one else has control over that. Even though when you're traumatized, you feel like everybody else has control over your situation. They do not. Bitter or better.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for your time today. If we had an hour, we could go on and on and on.
I love this. No, I do. And I love your viewers, and I do. I just love what you're doing, Paulisha, and not only just being a voice. And so, definitely my prayer in this is that I know people will rally around you, get the breakthrough 2.0, tell it to other people and all that stuff, is because we need this for ourselves to be better, to be usable, for our family and for our loved ones and for our communities. Like if we're broken and all that and can't get it together, how can we help them?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sherlonda, for participating and having the pleasure of letting us into your world and coming from a different point of view in terms of access to care and how we all need to come together within the system to be better and to heal and to address some of those broken places that we've talked about today. My name is Paulisha Aguilard. I am your relationship coach.